Good morning.
Tim, how are you?
So far, so good. Steve, how are you?
I'm so far so good.
Recording stopped.
If you're looking for some coffee, don't let the orange and black pots fool you. They're both caffeinated.
Good.
I wasn't sure how much to make, so.
What'd you do to your ankle? Or your foot?
Calf, actually. I tore my calf muscle in the last basketball practice of the season.
Jeez.
Yeah, so yesterday I think I got a little cocky. I was walking around
Just test this real quick.
mostly without crutches all day, and then good part of the day without the boot as well, and that was too quick. So it hurts today.
Take your time.
It's supposed to be originally they told me 4 to 6 months,
Wow.
but now they're down to as little as I could be out of the boot.
Steve, can you hear me?
In another couple of weeks, which would basically only have me in it a month,
Huh.
and then another month to recuperate. So it'd be 2 months versus 6.
Yeah.
So it's going well.
Good morning.
Good luck.
How are you?
Good.
Hi.
How are you?
Hey, Steve, can you hear me
You
through the
Tim?
computer?
I'm Tim.
Hi, Tim. I'm Mary Ann Rogers.
Hi, Marianne. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to meet you. Is that yours?
Yeah.
Oh, no. What'd you do?
tore my calf muscle.
There you go.
No. How'd you do it?
You couldn't hear me through this, could you?
No, I wasn't listening for you though. Wrestling a bear.
Is that what the story is? I'm not
better
gonna
and
ask.
better.
I'm not gonna ask any more
Either that or
questions.
playing basketball against high school girls. That was,
That is that the truth? or-
the high school. Not the
Yeah. No. Wow.
Okay.
Direct.
Gosh.
Can you hear me now?
Was it? Did you roll around the ground and cry?
You're talking, Mike. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Uh,
Do we have a lot participating online today?
Mhm. I know Serene and Amy. Probably. Well, I can hear me now, so some feedback.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, barely, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll turn that off then.
We're gonna have to mute one mic. Getting low.
So I did not cry, Marianne, but I might have swore a few times thinking it was actually my Achilles and not my calf. But
Oh.
I thought that was going to put me out for a long time. But it was supposed to be, they originally told us something
Steve today. Yeah.
Good. All right, good morning, everybody. We'll call our first meeting to order here at 8:35, and it's the meeting of the Yates County Capital Resource Corporation. We'll start with our introduction of guests, and we have Matt and Erica with us here today from Drescher and Malecki. Did I say that all right?
Perfect.
All right, and then we have Russ Genzel with Harris Beach online. Thank you. I just glance down my coffee mug every time. Make sure I get that right. So we don't need an executive session for this entity, so we're going to move on to the review and approval of our minutes from our prior meeting. And one correction to note is the prior meeting was held on December 20th, and in the minutes it has the wrong date. So we'll note that change. Are there any other changes that anybody had? All right, hearing none, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved, Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
Second.
Second, Tim.
I wasn't there though.
Yeah. Wasn't either.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's carried. We don't have any changes in the agenda.
Nope.
Doreen, do we have anything to report?
Yep,
Finance?
I have checks from 12/31/21 through today, check numbers 853 to 856, totaling $2,766.48.
Okay.
That's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. Could we have a motion to approve the finance report and to pay those specific checks?
So moved.
Tim, in a second.
Seconded, Kim.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, carried. On to our action items here. We'll start with our audit presentation. So,
Okay.
Matt and Erica, you're up.
All right. Let's try and actually stand here. All right, if you want to sit, that's fine. All right, so we'll go through our PowerPoint presentation for each entity, the Capital Resource Corporation being the first. Matt Montalvo and Erica Hanley from Drescher Malecki. I served as the engagement partner, and Erica was the senior manager on the audit. This is kind of our first introduction to the entity, being the first year we performed the audit. So, you know, contrasting with future years, probably a little bit harder on management than in a typical year. The amount of documentation that, you know, we requested, and, you know, more of their time was needed just to put our file together. So we had a lot of inquiries. We appreciate everybody's time and cooperation throughout that process. We know that, you know, it was probably a little bit more than a standard year under audit, but again, we didn't have any difficulties getting any information, so we've received full cooperation from everybody within management to kind of bring that up to speed. So first year audit, but I just wanted to overview kind of what our objectives are and our required communications with the board. So first, the products of our audit. So these will be the final deliverables. The primary piece is the basic financial statements, and that's really why you hire us, is to provide an opinion on your financial statements or your financial information that's generated through your accounting system. So as a board, you can rely on that information that management's giving you. It's a third-party attestation that the records are fairly stated. So that's our primary goal, to come in. We perform procedures on the records. We call them audit tests. So we, you know, confirm the balances with third parties. We analytically review the balances compared to prior years. We also view and inspect certain transactions and documentation. So through that process, we're able to then provide an opinion whether your financial information or financial statements fairly represent the corporation's financial position and results of operations. We also issue two other letter communications, a management letter and an auditor communication letter. These are the first, the management letter, would give you any observations, recommendations that we have, really more areas for improvement. If there were reportable findings, we would have to report those in that letter. We did not identify any reportable findings. These would be material items or significant deficiencies. Those are the two terms. We did not identify any of those items. That's a good thing. So, but we'll also put some best practices, those types of recommendations within that letter. And then the auditor communication letter, I'll go through on the next slide. This is really kind of provides the significant highlights, really clarifies our responsibility. Again, our responsibility being that third party to come in and provide an opinion on the financials, but we do make the clarification that management is responsible for the books and the records. So you prepare the information, you're in charge of creating those transactions and documenting everything. As far as significant accounting policies and estimates, those will be disclosed in the notes to the financial statements. No real changes in the corporation from this year, contrasting with past years. And then independence, we're required to be independent from the corporation, so free of conflicts of interest. All of our staff that worked on the audit, right up to the management level, we're required to be free of conflicts of interest. That allows us to be objective in performing the audit and then ultimately providing that opinion. As far as any other matters, no significant difficulties or disagreements with management. There's one kind of sensitive disclosure related to conduit debt. So that's debt that was issued on behalf of another entity, the college in the corporation's case, and that debt was paid off during the year. So that was a pretty significant transaction that will be disclosed in the notes. So I want to move on. Before I move on, any questions on the required communications? Okay. I talked a lot about our responsibility and our opinion, so let's get to the opinion. So we do plan on moving forward with what's referred to as an unmodified or a clean opinion on the financial statements. So that's the best you can do from an audit standpoint. We're never going to say they're 100% accurate and complete because we don't review 100% of the transactions. But based on our testing, we believe that they fairly represent the corporation's financial position. So that is the opinion that you're looking for when you perform an audit. And then no reportable findings, as I mentioned, on your internal controls. These are your policies, procedures that really kind of provide that umbrella over processing transactions. So those checks and balances that are in place. We don't believe that there's any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in those areas. All right, moving on to just some of the financial statement highlights. Not a lot to get into on the corporation. Your three primary statements: a statement of net position, your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, and then a statement of cash flows. Pretty limited activity during the year, so really a small decrease in your net position from the prior year, but when you look at your net position at year end, a stable position, no going concern issues from our perspective. Certainly, there's enough cash to operate in the short term and a reasonable amount of time. And then, as far as your statement of cash flows, you did have an increase in your cash balances. Basically, your notes receivables are being paid back. So you did see a little bit of an uptick in your cash and then a decrease in your receivables. So again, financially stable as a whole, not a whole lot of activity during the year. And just to kind of conclude on the Capital Resource Corporation, those, again, unmodified opinion on the financial statements, no significant areas of findings or conclusions there. Any questions on the corporation? Okay. And I kind of give a similar update for each one of the entities, but at this point we're in draft form with our financials. We do plan on moving forward with that opinion. The only thing left is really to get the report finalized so it can be issued to the public authorities by the end of the month. That's the deadline that's required for the corporation.
So we don't see any issues meeting the deadline?
Nope,
getting
that's
into this?
that's our intent, to work up until then and get these finalized then.
I'll finish what I owe Erica after this meeting.
Yep.
So we'll have to, we gotta get board approval though, right, on the audit. We don't,
We're supposed to have board approval for the whole ABO report before it's certified, before March 31st.
okay.
Yeah, so we're getting kind of a heads up that it's gonna be an unmodified opinion, right? We're not-
Yep, we provided the draft financials. We don't anticipate any changes in the financials. The only thing that's left over is one piece of documentation from management, the representation letter. So that's the last piece that basically they take responsibility for everything. And then we can issue our report after it goes through our final quality control reviews, which is usually of an editorial, more of an editorial proofreading. So they are in final form.
Russ, can you weigh in on this? Can we take an action on this to accept we can accept the presentation of them, we can accept, what can we approve today, and do we need to meet again or have a more formal approval of the final report?
No, I think unless there's substantive changes to the draft report, I think that you can do the final approval today. And if there are changes that are material, we'll come back to the board.
Yeah, we'll bring that to your attention, but I don't anticipate anything.
I mean, that's fine by me, it's more of a question of the board, because you haven't seen
Yeah, I don't.
the actual financials yet. There's no numbers in front of you yet to verify that, so you'd be verifying that you believe them.
Yeah.
that there aren't any issues.
Can we conditionally approve them?
I was gonna say, can we send them out
Yeah,
and
that's-
get an email
yeah,
approval and then
that's
formal
why
approval
you
next
pay the
month?
professionals to do this, and again, I'm comfortable with the board approving it. And, obviously subject to, like I said, if there are material or substantive changes that need to be presented, we'll come back and forth.
Can they conditionally approve? Like we'll email out once we get the drafts, we can email it to the board for their review, and if there aren't any changes at that point,
Steve, what's your timing as to when they have to be submitted?
I think that they have to be in, the state requires them to be in by the end of March.
Another 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I think that really you don't have much of an option, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yes,
So
we can.
basically approve, and then once you get the final report, obviously you share it with the board, get their sign off and submit it for parent reporting purposes.
Do you have the draft statements in the form you could circulate to us?
Yesterday afternoon I forwarded those to Doreen, so I can forward them on to
Okay, they
everyone.
must have went to my trash file. 'Cause
Oh,
I
they
didn't
did?
get
I'm
them.
sorry.
No,
It was
that's
late
okay.
in the day.
Sometimes when I get
Yeah.
large attachments, it does that. So.
Got it, okay.
Yep.
Janice,
So they are available to.
see your hands raised. Did you have something, Janice?
Yeah, I just had a question on what we were approving. Are we approving the audit findings, or are we approving the financial statements, or both? Because I don't have enough information to put my name on that as approving. So I would appreciate being able to see the report via email so that we could digest them, and then, I don't know, Doreen, if we can send in our approval. I don't know if that'll count, Steve, but maybe if I'm the only one behind, then I can just abstain and then you guys can pass it. But I just don't have enough information to put my name on it.
well, no, that's the discussion we're having, Janice, that there's no numbers in front of anybody. I haven't seen them, so, from a time perspective, what we can do is do a conditional approval, give you the ability to see them, and then if you don't have any questions, or you don't think if they look fine to you, then we're okay, we don't have to do anything. If you do have questions or concerns with it, then we can try to get them addressed, and if they still stand out, then we'll have to call a special meeting.
Did I have spam on here?
Yeah, I would be okay with that. I'm not sure how everyone else feels, but I would prefer to do that than.
Yeah, no, I think we kind of it's a good point, Janice, and I think we should do it that way because we can't say that we approve them as presented, the actual numbers, because we don't have them. But I'm fine, I would be okay doing the conditional approval, subject to everyone's review, and then kind of confirmation. I think if we get an email confirmation back that everybody's looked at it, that would satisfy the conditional approval. If Russ is comfortable with that, and he's nodding, I think that's what we can do.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can send them directly if we get everyone's email. We can have
Okay.
those out there today.
Yeah.
They're not showing up here, but it's probably on.
Okay, so we'll follow up with that and get them out to
Okay.
everybody today.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so we're looking for a motion to conditionally approve the audit reports, accept the presentation and the unmodified opinion, and conditionally approve the statements. And then everybody will review them and then write back and confirm that they've had a chance to look at them.
So moved.
So, is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Thank you, Matt. Our only other agenda item today for this entity is revisiting the account signers. If you remember from our last meeting, we did this with the IDA. I think what we're looking to do is have Mike and Steve stay on as signers through the end of the year. It was the time period that we did for the IDA. So it's been handy to have it that way, to give more options to get the second signers. With COVID and uncertainties with that, having more signers has been a help, I think, for management and everybody else. That's been working pretty well. So we'll do the same thing for the Horizon entity as well, because that didn't take place at the last meeting either. So with that, could we have a motion to approve these guys as signers through the end of the year?
So moved.
Second.
Janet.
Alright, so we got full participation on that one. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, that's carried. We'll meet next as needed for this entity when there are agenda items. So with that, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Tim, second.
Second.
Marianne, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So then we will move on to the Finger Lakes Horizon Economic Development Corporation. And we'll call that meeting to order here at, 8:52. And our guests are the same. We have Matt and Erica here from Drescher and Malecki, and Russ Genzel with Harris Beach. We're going to skip past executive session for this. So our first item here is the review and approval from our minutes from our prior meeting, which was February 16th. Again, noting that in the minutes circulated, we had a typo on the date. It said November 17th, so we need to update that for the minutes. Does anybody else have any other changes to suggest for the minutes?
Move to approve as amended.
All right, thanks, Tim. And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, carried. Doreen, do you have a finance report for us?
I do. I have, check 334, which was from January 28th through 337, totaling $44,635.75, for approval, and I don't have anything else to report.
Okay, thanks, Doreen. Do we have a motion to approve the finance report and paying those specific checks?
Moved.
Tim? All right, and a second?
Second.
All right, Marianne, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, carried. So then we will turn the floor over here for our audit presentation again. Welcome back.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go through the required communications and audit results for the Finger Lakes Horizon Economic Development Corporation. Again, first, similar to the capital resource, the products of our audit basic financial statements. So that's the primary purpose. That's what we put our opinion on, as well as a management letter communication with any observations or best practices, and then an auditor communication letter, which is our required communications to this group. Again, our responsibility under generally accepted auditing standards is to form and express an opinion on the financial statements. Management provides the books and the records. We, through our audit tests and audit procedures, provide an opinion on those financial statements, that they fairly represent the corporation's financial position. As far as significant items, nothing of a significant nature for the Horizon Economic Development Corp. Again, required to be independent. Our audit group allows us to have objectivity and be free of conflicts of interest in performing the audit. No disagreements in conducting this audit, no difficulties in getting information. So we're able to receive the documentation, evaluate, audit the information, and then provide an opinion on the financial statements. So we do plan on moving forward with an unmodified opinion. You'll see that in the draft financial statements, which will be distributed to the full group. But no exceptions noted, unmodified or clean opinion on the financial statements. We believe they fairly represent the financial position of the Finger Lakes Horizon Economic Development Corp. As far as financial statement highlights, certainly the entity is in a financially stable position at year end, so no going concern issues. That is one of our requirements, is evaluating whether the entity can continue on as a going concern for a reasonable amount of time. So, with a approximate cash balance of about $881,000 at year end, you have over $1.1 million in current assets available. Did have an increase in cash and an increase in net position of about $456,000. So you'll see those in the draft financials. But a very solid year for the corporation, and keeps you in that financially stable position going forward. As far as our overall observations, we did not identify any reportable findings of internal control, so no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies related to the operations and the accounting of this entity. Best you can do from an audit standpoint. Any questions on the Horizon?
I think so. So again, it'll be an unmodified opinion.
Correct.
Nothing else that we should be aware of as the board?
No, like I said, those are kind of your check boxes. You look for an unmodified opinion so you can rely on those numbers in making your decisions. And then no findings, no significant areas that would. So when you look at an internal control system, if there's a material weakness or significant deficiency, this would be an example would be if there's no bank recs performed. So you have your cash balances and nobody really has a good feel for where those cash balances are. That's not the case. You're doing regular bank reconciliations. You're able to tie those cash balances, so it's more of a reliable system of information.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Same deadline?
Correct. Yep. Still subject to the public authorities law, and that March 31st deadline. We anticipate having the final report through reviews and all that documentation received prior to that.
So we'll go through the same procedure for conditionally approving.
Okay. Yeah, so does anybody have any questions before we get into the motion and approval? All right, so then what we'd be looking for is a motion to conditionally accept the audit presentation and then conditionally approve the financial statements, subject to everyone's review and confirmation that they received them and had a chance to read them. So with that, would someone make the motion?
So moved.
So moved. Kim.
Thanks, Kim. And second? Tim? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that's carried.
Yeah, I can adjust those.
Okay.
Now, we'll get those.
I can adjust those for next
from-
presentation.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll get those from Doreen or from the.
It'll be one of the two that goes out today. If we're having a size
I
issue
will
with
go
the
look
IDA's
when we-
email, Doreen can get the email addresses to these guys.
Yeah,
and
that'd
send
be the
them out
easiest
today.
way, we can send them
Okay.
out directly then.
They're probably there, they just went to
It
different
says it
file.
sent it about 3:30 yesterday afternoon, so if you don't read.
We can-
Okay.
I bet if we go into Google itself, we'll be there.
Yep,
I just wanna make sure I know
yep, nope.
where to
they'll get-
watch for the email.
Right, yep,
And
as
all
soon as,
the other emails I get.
as soon as we're done with this meeting,
We all
I'll go
there
look and
with
we'll
spam
have it.
again.
All right, so then our only other action item today is the extending the account signing privileges for Steve and Mike, in addition to the board members, through the end of the year. So, we went through that before. Would someone make the motion to do that?
Motion to extend.
All right, Marianne, a second? Second. Tim, all those in favor?
Second, yeah. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, carried. And same, we'll meet again when we have action items. So we'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Tim, in a
So
second.
moved. Janice.
Janice, okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, carried. We are adjourned. So now we'll call to order the meeting of the Finger Lakes Economic Development Center at 9 o'clock. We have our same guests, Matt and Erica, Drescher and Malecki, and Wes Genzel is still with us with Harris Beach. And the next item on the agenda would be an executive session, but we're gonna move that to after the audit presentation. So that'll be between action items number 1 and number 2 here on the agenda. And I think that's gonna be our only change to the agenda.
We'll add, if we're under changes to agenda, there's a couple leases we have to add too.
Okay, why don't we add those now, since we're.
One is, what is cheapest, what's Alex Key go by,
Upstate Regional Properties or something.
Upstate Regional Properties lease, and Jackie Ledgerwood lease.
Okay, so we're adding items 7 and 8.
Yep.
Okay. All right, any other changes? Okay, so then we're gonna.
Actually, Ryan, we probably wanna move the audit presentation above status report. We'll let these guys get going, or do you wanna keep it?
Well, we could. Are you guys okay on time?
We're fine, yeah.
Extra 5 minutes?
We'll listen to the status report first.
Yeah.
Good, that's fine.
Are you trying to get out of
Give me a
something?
chance.
Bad decision.
Did you say something bad about him in your status report?
We don't wanna go back into the fog
Yeah,
yet.
so everybody tune into Mike's status report.
Yep.
All right, so then we'll review the minutes here, the approval of the minutes from our prior meeting, and again, we need to note that the date is incorrect in the printed minutes that we had to review, so we'll make that change. Are there any other comments or revisions for the minutes? Okay, hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, Tim?
So moved, Kim. Seconded, yes.
Okay, thank you, Kim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, carried. We already covered the changes, so we'll move on to the finance report for Doreen.
Okay. I have, total of bills to be paid is $51,925.43. Check number 5536 to 5859 and E80 to E82, which includes payroll and New York State retirement. I don't know if anybody's got any questions. I don't know that I have anything else to.
Okay.
One thing I'll add is that on the profit and loss statement for the month anyways.
Yep, that's right.
We did receive, just after this kind of went out, it was another roughly $70,000 in agency fees. So we had 2 projects closed that we finally got our agency fee on. So even though we're showing a loss there, if this had been a week later, it would look a little different.
But those were, they came in March.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll be reflected next month. And we should get a couple more too
Yeah,
before
there
the
should
end
be
of the
a few
month.
more. Russ and Steve, I think, have been chasing down, for whatever reason, we've had, and I don't think we've ever really had it before, but the last 3 projects have had challenges come up with the insurance requirements. And we haven't had that before, so I don't know really what's changed, but it's presented some significant hurdles that we've had to work through, and so we're trying to get to the bottom of what has changed, because it's not a change in amounts that we're requiring. No, I mean, that from that part, everything's staying the same, so I'm not sure what's. One would have been if it's happened 3 in a row, like if it had just been once, I'm like, all right, that's just an outlier, but 3 in a row now has us like, there's something's happening, so.
Insurance markets are a little bit tighter. There's
I
one
guess
of them
could
that
be.
I'm aware of, the cost is pretty substantial to the
Right.
customer, is the size of the project anyway. Are the limits set? Is that something that the local, we have authority over, or is it set by the state?
No, we have approval over it, so the challenge has become mainly with, I think, the umbrella part, right?
Correct.
That we've been, in the past, we've actually required 5 million. We've had a 1 million and 5 million policy that we required the businesses to carry. Occasionally, in the past, we will drop the 5 down to a 3 million, based on the project, and in each of these cases, I think we're at the 1 and 3 starting out, and it's come back like with some significant annual premiums being added that haven't been there before. So I'm not sure exactly why or what's happened. So we're going to reach out to Storks. We checked with Russ and Steve a couple different times on this. Like, are we off? Are we missing something? Is this not normal? And we're right in line with what other economic development groups request. So we'll talk with Storks today, tomorrow, next couple days to figure out maybe what the issue is here, what's upset the apple cart a little bit.
Yeah, it'd be good to see if they share any insight on the industry and what's going on.
Yeah.
Janice, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just curious, Steve, since you're talking with the storks, I mean, I feel like the risk profile is changing, and with the uncertainty in the economy and, of course, the unrest in Eastern Europe and COVID, I don't know, I'm seeing it in our business as well, that the risk profile is changing because of, so many unknowns. So just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I sort of hope it's not that. I kind of hope there's just something with it that, something in the policies that has been added or omitted or something that's causing the change, and not just that premiums have actually increased that much, because they're substantially higher than what they were just months ago. That's the weird thing. It wasn't like this has been a gradual increase. It was we were fine, and then 3 in a row within the last 2 weeks, like challenges. So anyways, well, all I did was report that we have some challenges, and I've offered no solutions. So we'll sorry to waste your time there. We'll get something to you.
Steve, this comes up from time to time, if I may.
Yeah.
And it's a cost thing for them to procure the insurance. And it might be worthwhile at some point for the board and you guys to consider having, an independent insurance provider review our requirements. Because I'm not an insurance broker. We have, our standard 3 million or 5 million, 1 million, and then there are projects, as Steve, from time to time that they've asked for a change. And, Harris Beach and Steve can't unilaterally approve that because we have policy. Our insurance requirements are these amounts. If there are circumstances under which the board wants to deviate from that, that's certainly within the board's discretion. But it might be worthwhile to have you know, a local independent insurance provider take a look at what our insurance requirements are, maybe make some suggestions.
All right, yeah, that's a good suggestion, and we'll do that.
Okay.
Steve, will you get back to us on what you learned from the source and, the suggestion that Russ just had?
Yep, we'll do.
Thank you. Just curious.
Yeah, Steve, I'm not trying to put work on your plate, but I think it's, if we do that going forward, it will take these issues, you know, off of the plate on a case-by-case basis.
Yep. Nope. I think it's. I think we used to do it anyway, so we'll check. We'll reach out to them for sure.
Okay. So Steve had commented on the year-to-date results. It does, you know, we are tracking behind budget at this point in time, but it looks like the largest culprit of that is the agency fees and timing on project closings. So with those booking here in March, we'd be back ahead of budget on the agency fees and the P&L overall. So,
And we're hopefully a week out, maybe 2 at the worst, from a couple $100,000 in agency fees. So
yeah.
we'll be okay. We're just trying to get them to get this insurance stuff answered.
Very, very good. Does anybody have any other questions on the profit and loss balance sheet? And we also had the loan capitalization report and aging reports that went out. Okay, hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the finance report?
Moved, Kim.
Okay, it's Kim, in a second.
Second.
Tim? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, carried. About our status report. We'll save Mike for last since it'll be the exciting one. Okay, Doreen, do you have
I have
anything to add?
nothing new to report.
Remind myself to be nice now.
Just kidding.
No, you're good.
Go ahead if you
Yep.
want to.
So last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, the 4th, went out to Dudley Poultry. They did a ribbon cutting for their renovation that they put on a year ago. They delayed the ribbon cutting because of COVID, so they did it on their 1-year anniversary. New retail shop right in front of the current facility. Looks great. Walk in, buy all sorts of goodies, bulk meat, sauces, chicken, steaks. They were even cutting fresh steaks for you that day, so it was pretty cool. They did a really nice job out there. Gave us a tour of the facility, which I had never done before, and it's pretty impressive. I know Ryan was out there, the girls from the chamber. They had a pretty good turnout, so wanted to give them some recognition for their achievement. And then learned that day that they provided every wing for the wing walk, which was the very next day. So Saturday, the 5th, was the Penn Yan wing walk. A month ago, Dudley didn't have any contract with a restaurant to provide a single wing for the event, and then they ended up contracting and providing the wings for every restaurant. So it was a pretty cool thing, totally local.
500 dozen.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a few wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of wings.
6,000 wings minimum. Yeah.
If you guys are familiar with chicken wings?
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit.
Coming from Buffalo.
That's impressive.
Yeah. It was, yeah, it was a great event. 500 tickets sold. One of the coolest things I found that the actual vote, so each restaurant had a ballot box at the end, 430 people out of the 500 attendees actually voted.
That's great.
Wow.
Which it's incredible. If we got half, I would have been excited. So
A lot of
people-
sticky fingers.
Yeah, yeah, people were excited. Like, a few people put in napkins saying that they didn't like the cucas, but they went a little too hot. But I ate 3 of them, so I don't think they're that bad.
I think that's awesome. The Cuca threw in a sort of a surprise, like really hot wing, so people were eating it and like just having issues with it. Like
Walking out sweating, tears in their eyes. It
Oh,
was
no.
pretty
I
funny.
think it's phenomenal. I think
So
that's great.
So this is the second year of the event?
Second year, yep.
Yeah.
So we did it in 2020, right before COVID. Obviously, took last year off, and then brought it back. It was 300 people the first time, good turnout. Bumped it up and sold out well in advance.
Sold out real quick.
Yep. And one of my favorite things that I heard, one of the local restaurants owners, his wife is from Perry, New York, has a group of girlfriends that's still there. So on Thursday, 2 days before the event, she got a call from her friends back in Perry saying, hey, we're coming in. We heard about the wing walk in Penny Inn on the radio. Still trying to figure out how that got there. Coming into town, gonna do the wing walk. There was 14 of them, 14 girls coming in. Did the wing walk, went to the Laurentide for beers and music after the event, back to the Cuca restaurant for dinner, stayed overnight in the microtel, and then did breakfast in town Sunday morning. 12 of the 14 had never been in Penny Inn before. That's the exact goal of what we were trying to do, to bring more people into town, show what we offer, see their businesses, and hopefully most of them come back.
Yeah. Great event, and I'm sure the downtown merchants and restaurants appreciated having that many people downtown on a cold February or March night.
Yeah, we've already gotten feedback from most of the restaurants, and they were all thrilled. Said well exceeded sales for a Saturday in March, typical Saturday in March. So
that's great.
It went really well.
Good.
You have anything else, Mike? You good?
With that.
Oh, Steve can top chicken wings. What do you have for us?
No, I can't chop chicken wings. Just real quick, I will congratulate and thank Doreen and Mike for their efforts on handling requests from the various audits we're going under, not just from the ones you're hearing today, but the OSC is continuing even after their initial findings meetings with us to have follow-up questions with us on some things. So it's a lot of effort to handle one set of year-end audits, let alone another state audit as well. So they've done a remarkable job handling that as they always do. Other parts I will add. I didn't, one change, I had my dates wrong, or just confused on the Cuca College, the senior capstone projects. That's still off by a few weeks before those presentations will be ready. But we did have, and I guess to that end, on the wing walk, there were 25 or so tickets that were dedicated to Cuca College so that the students and or employees could get to the event, and we know there were takers in that. So the downtown merchants did reach out and set aside some there to make sure that the connections are happening. Killian Mahoney has done at least 3 film sessions now. So the other project we have going on where Killian did a field period with us to go take those individual recordings of stores downtown, businesses downtown, and then we'll blend them together as a full one. 3 are done. They're going through. She's doing the final editing and such on those, and she's got a bunch more set up to go. So that's progressing forward. In continuing discussions on our new corporate park, talking with the engineers still. I've had some discussions with Norman Flynn on some potentials that didn't work out, but we'll keep trying to find some ideas. And I have started discussions now with RG&E. They sent me some paperwork to fill out to just see what kind of, make sure there's enough capacity in the area or what the lead build-out times might be. So getting those calls going, talking to Town of Milo as well. At least I have a call into Tony, code enforcement officer, on the residential side of it. If it's going to take a long time to get infrastructure in there, what I'm taking another look at potentially, is there a way to do single-family lots on that, if I get this right, eastern side of the property, where it wouldn't be served by infrastructure. They'd have to be okay with wells and septics, but how many lots could we get in there at least to get it started? In the future you'll be able to connect. We just can't do it now. So trying to find a couple different ways to get through that. Dundee, we got some things happening there. We are getting closer and closer. I can't disclose yet, but mentioned in the past that the community's working on trying to find some sort of grocery store answer. Since the grocery store closed there, I think we're really close now. I've been working with a company that's out there to get them to open up something in downtown, and they are now trying to finalize some leases on storefronts down there, which would be small, but it's, you know, start with the produce, which is what they're really kind of concerned about, not having access to fresh produce and possibly some of the deli meats and that sort of thing. So we're getting really close with that. I'm hoping maybe in the next, we'll say 2 weeks, hopefully we can get a lease signed somewhere. And then kind of a neat thing, the Dundee Foods building itself, although there's not a lot of employees there yet, there's only probably 10 employees working out of the large Dundee Foods building. They are largely full. So there's activity there. It's just mostly warehousing right now, and distribution. So, you know, there's not a whole lot of employees going in and out, but they do have a couple of production companies in there that are sort of in their infancy stage, and we're hoping they will grow, and if they do, we'll start to see a little bit better employment base out of that as well. So there's some good things happening out there. Infancy, young, getting started with it, but I think the momentum is hopefully starting to build a little bit out there. I think that's all I got, unless there's questions. The activity's still crazy. There's lots of inquiries and people calling, trying to figure out what's going on, and I can tell you that the digging of the corner property or the old beverage baron over across from that, I must get 3 questions a day. What's going on? Who's cleaning it up? And as far as we know, it's a forced cleanup. It's not a new project coming in that, at least that we're aware of. If it is, then I'm sure they'll be talking to us shortly, or we'll hear. But our understanding is they were under a mandate to get it cleaned, and so that's what's happening. But
Yeah, it's odd that they're not touching that building that's sitting in the middle. They didn't just take it all down. They're like working around it, which would suggest that somebody has plans for that building. Maybe.
Or its cost.
Yeah.
Tearing that down just adds more cost to it.
So you mentioned in here.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead on the phone. That'll be.
Janice.
Go ahead, Janice.
Oh, who used to own that? Isn't Randy Baker used to own that? Did he sell that, or is that still him and having to clean it up?
I am not sure
The last one is Randy and Sue Baker, as far as I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a clear answer on that, Janice. I don't know. They obviously operated a business there, and had ownership of the property of some kind. Whether or not they still own it, I don't believe they do, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, the county record shows there was a transfer from them to a LLC back last year or 2020, but don't know who the LLC is right now.
They sold it, yeah.
So the end result will be a net win for the area to have a tanks removed and remediated site to do something with on a intersection in town.
Yeah, be nice if that was nice.
Yeah.
What about where you mentioned the very large manufacturing projects? Can you say a little more about that?
We get mostly through, there's a couple different groups I belong to that will send out sort of generic or general requests for proposals for site searches. And that's what most of those are, but you're seeing a lot of them. They're more than we've seen in the past anyways, of 100 acres, 120 acres, 70 acres, with some pretty large employee needs, 500, 600 employees. So they're coming in, and I don't respond to them. We don't have the need. We don't have not that I wouldn't like them, but we don't have either the building space and or the green space in which to sell them, let alone, if someone tried to create a 500-person manufacturer here, I'm not sure the labor studies would I'm not sure we passed that, so.
Probably not.
Just a quick question, are you familiar with the current unemployment numbers in the county?
I saw they just released, I don't know if it was last night or this morning, for January anyways, Department of Labor said we're at 3.4%. Yeah. Which I've heard from some employers, maybe not all, but most employers, more than I had been hearing, that there has been an increase in
Available.
applications,
Yeah.
people coming in.
We've seen that.
It's always been tight, right? That doesn't mean it's they're filling all the open vacancies, but it's at least not, the valve isn't completely shut off. So there are people starting to come back, which isn't surprising because most, if not all, of the COVID benefits, extended benefits have expired. So now people are having to come back.
I remember at one point during the pandemic, though, there was single digits of the number of people that were looking for jobs or were utilizing.
That was pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic.
It was pre-pandemic. That we were in the single digits of people through workforce development that were actively looking for work. So, and then it got tight. So, single digits wasn't tight yet. Then it got even narrower there. So, I was talking to a friend though, out of Buffalo, attorney out of Buffalo, and the COVID and this whole remote working has added, for some employers, a whole new level of challenge that specifically, you're probably seeing it too, in the auditing side too, accounting, that is, as an attorney, they used to just have to fight sort of with other Buffalo area firms. And now New York City firms are coming in and offering way more base salary, if you will, and letting them work in Buffalo. But, they just need transactional attorneys. So they're, now the whole, with these Buffalo-based attorneys were fighting amongst themselves. Now all of a sudden, it's free game from everyone. So it's that's another level of the challenge of why our market's tighter. That we've lost workforce and seen an increase in competition.
All right.
Thank you.
Any questions for any of these guys on the management reports? All right, and we'll move on to our action items, and we'll start with the audit presentation.
So we'll talk through the Yates County Industrial Development Agency financials. We're here to present the audit results. Similar communications, but again, our primary responsibility is the basic financial statements and providing opinion on those financial records. Management, again, is responsible for providing that information. They're responsible for reporting the transactions and really maintaining those records. So I want to, with the audit process, I do want to address a question that came up, I think, in the last meeting. Are we responsible for assessing risk in our audit? So that is a major component of the audit process, is the assessment of risk, and it really is based on almost every component within the financial statements. We assess risk in that specific area, and there's a couple different types of risk. So the first one we look at is called inherent risk, and that's basically considering outside forces. So in a particular, let's say a particular transaction area or balance, like let's say an outstanding liability or a contingent liability. Is there inherently, is it risky because it's difficult to verify? So a lot of times when there's estimates involved in projecting a liability, there's more difficulty in verifying that balance. So inherently it's riskier. So from our perspective, we have to kind of adjust our audit procedures to maybe develop our own independent expectation and then compare it to an estimate that is provided by management. So that's just an example of, we look at those outside factors first, and then we consider the internal controls, the control risk it's called, related to that area. So does management review certain transactions related to that particular area. So those two combined, then we either increase or decrease our other what's called substantive audit procedures. That's where we're actually doing our confirming with outside entities. We're looking at specific transactions, pulling more samples, and testing it that way. So the assessment of risk is a major component of the audit, and really is related to every component that we look at in the financial statements. So as far as significant areas, again, no real changes in the policies or estimates within the financial statements for the IDA. Again, our requirement to be independent still holds true related to the IDA financial audit. We're free of conflicts of interest. And then we did not have any difficulties performing this audit as well. We received full and open access to the books and the records from management. So as far as our audit opinion, we do plan on moving forward with an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion on the Industrial Development Agency's financial statements as well. We believe that they fairly represent the entity's financial position and results for the year ended December 31st, 2021. As far as financial statement highlights, again, we evaluate that going concern is their financial stability. We believe that this is a stable entity financially. There's no going concern issues. During the year, there was a decrease in cash of about $1 million, but that was an investment in your capital assets. So you had a purchase of land, which increased your capital assets but decreased your cash. But when we evaluate, we look at your cash position related to your liabilities. There's very few liabilities out there. You're still in a substantial position to be able to pay your bills, operating costs on a regular basis. No concerns as far as liquidity. And then as far as the operations, it does include, the IDA does include the operations of the Finger Lakes Horizon Economic Development Center as well. But as far as you kind of pull that activity out, it was a pretty stable year from the IDA's activity. So almost about a break-even point when you look at just the IDA's operations. And then finally, as far as our looking at the internal controls, I talked a lot about risk. We did not identify any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, so no reportable findings within the IDA audit. So again, similar to the other entities, we plan on moving forward with that opinion. We have the financials in draft form. Those will be distributed to the group. And we have that March 31st deadline to issue the reports. Any questions?
Just a board member left.
Okay.
Amy left at 9:30. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Matt or Erica on the audit or the presentation so far? Okay. Thank you for your presentations on all three meetings, and we look forward to getting the statements and working with you guys moving forward.
Great. Well, we appreciate your time. We'll have those out there today, and then we'll look forward to issuing the first report.
Sounds good.
Great.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
So we'll ask for a motion then to conditionally approve the financial statements with the unmodified opinion, subject to everyone's review and confirmation that they were able to review the statements themselves. So I would ask for that motion.
So moved.
Tim, in a second.
Second.
Marianne, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, all right, that's carried. Thanks
Thank you.
again.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks.
Thank you for all your help.
So we,
Long drive.
next agenda item here is the executive session before we get into some of these other items. And we're gonna ask for a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the financials of a company and the potential sale of real estate.
Sale and acquisition real estate.
Sale and acquisition of real estate. So I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Marianne, second. Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Right? So Mike will confirm for us when we are Back into open session, and Mike will tell us when we're there, so we'll need a motion to come out. And it looks like
We lost Janice, I don't know what time.
She told me at 9:47 she had to drop off in 10 minutes.
Okay.
We're
So
good.
we're still 1, 2, 3. Still got 4.
I was
Even
gonna
without
say,
you. Even without you.
Okay.
But let's maybe. Well, yeah, loan request is first, anyways. Okay.
Yep, so we gotta come out of.
Are we
we're
in
good
open
to go.
session
Yep.
now?
Yep.
All right, so we have a motion to exit executive session.
So moved.
Mary Ann?
So moved. Seconded, Kim.
All right. Thank you, Kim. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, welcome back to open session here. We're gonna move on with our action items, and we'll start with item 2, the potential loan request.
Yep, so Adam and Nicole Foltz, who are doing business as Crooked Vines, have requested a $120,000 agricultural loan to assist with the purchase of additional equipment. They've purchased additional farm, are expanding their grape growing and sales operation. It would be a 10-year term, interest at 2%, reduced down to 1% if automatic loan payments are signed up for. Collateral on the loan would be UCC filing on the business, specific UCC filing on the actual equipment purchased with our loan proceeds, and personal guarantees from Adam and Nicole Foltz. When you factor in the acquisition of the farm plus the purchase of equipment, it was a total project cost of $362,000, and the project will create 3 new full-time equivalent jobs over the next 3 years, providing them with 8 full-time equivalents upon the 3 years. The loan review committee did recommend this for approval, with not a whole lot of feedback. They were impressed by the request and application.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Could we have a motion to approve the loan request to Crooked Vines?
So moved.
Okay, Tim, and a second.
Second.
Mary Ann? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? And I'll abstain. Okay, carried. So we'll move on then to the New York Benton 1 sales tax exemption extension.
Yep, so New York Benton 1 was the 5 megawatt community solar farm on Route 14A in the town of Benton. We approved it. Project closed in January of 2021. They've come back to us as the sales tax exemption expired in September of 2021. So they have a few things to wrap up, finish up on site before they can light and move forward with providing the solar energy. They've asked for an extension through June of 2022. They only utilized about 20 to 25,000 of their sales tax exemption. A lot of the materials for solar projects are already exempt. We had approved them upwards of just over 400,000 in sales tax exemption. So there's plenty of room. They haven't exceeded what we provided them. And we're just looking for approval to extend that sales tax exemption through June of 2022.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Does anybody have any questions on that request? All right. What a motion to approve?
So moved, Kim.
Kim, in a second.
Second.
Mary Ann, all right. This probably should be a roll call.
Yep.
Do you want to take us around?
Yep.
Tori?
Marion,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Serene.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Our next item then is the Penyan Manufacturing Realty Leaseback Agreement Amendment.
Yeah, and Russ, I don't know if you've been following this one or if it was Steve, but basically, Penyan Manufacturing Realty is refinancing their debt on the facility that Campac utilizes. And because we have a leaseback agreement on it, we show up on title, and so any sort of refinancing, they need our more or less approval and our willingness to subordinate to the next financier coming in. So that's That's all they're requesting here. There's no new additional benefits being requested. They just are asking for us to go ahead and be, give our subordination to the new financing arm. So.
Yeah, and just to be clear, when we say subordinate, yeah, we're subordinate and lead, but we do not give up our unassigned rights, our right to be held harmless, our right to be insured, so it doesn't impact the IDA negatively in any way.
Good. Thanks, Russ.
Yep.
So.
Very good. Yeah, that seems pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions though on that before we vote? All right. How about entertain a motion to approve then?
So moved.
All right, Tim, and a second.
I'll second.
All right, thanks, Serene. And Doreen, do you want to take us
Yep.
around?
Marion,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Serene,
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Okay, that's approved. Our next item is the Pauline parking lot.
Yeah, I guess at this one, again, Russ, I might need your help here. I could seek approval at the discussed, with the discussed contingencies to sell the parking lot. With the discussed contingency points, including holding 80% of, sell to 100,000 at holding 80% of the
Yep.
mortgage, with time frames and buyback contingencies. I don't know if I have to be, do I have to be real specific?
You and Mike and I can have a sidebar, if you will, to make sure I'm understanding the contingencies.
Okay,
And of course, we'll have to comply with PAAA to the extent we have to give notice, but
Yeah.
we can talk about that offline, but yes, I have no problem with the board approving that subject to the contingency.
perfect, okay.
Notice has already gone out.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, we're asking for approval for Steve to then enter into that agreement with the potential buyer with those contingencies that we've talked about.
Yeah.
So entertain that motion.
So moved.
Tim, and a second.
I'll second.
All right, thanks, Serene. Does this need to be a resolution? It probably should. We might as well do a roll call on this, if that's all right, Doreen?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. Marion,
Yes.
Ryan,
I'll abstain.
okay, Tim,
Yes.
Yeah.
Serene?
Sorry, I can't.
Nope,
Tim
Kim,
and Jim
yes.
sound the same.
Serene? Serene?
Yes.
Okay. And Kim was yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, we'll move on then on the potential land lease sale at the Horizon Business Park.
Yeah, I would look for approval from the board to enter into discussions, into negotiations to enter into a potential sale and or lease agreement for a portion of Horizon Business Park. I don't think, Russ, do I have to specify the buyer?
No.
Okay,
And again, this is just giving Steve the authority to have those negotiations. We're not actually
That's
voting on
correct.
selling it right now. We're doing
No,
it.
it'll come
Ultimately,
back.
we're gonna have to
Yeah.
approve the
It'll
purchase
come back.
contract this
Once
week.
it gets all that worked out.
That does not have to be disclosed now.
okay.
Okay. Does this need to be a roll call then? It's not really a resolution.
No, you don't have to do a roll call, I would have the board give Steve authorization to continue negotiation.
So moved. Do you have to say it first?
So Serena got a second.
Second.
Mary Ann, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. All right, and now we have two lease renewals, the first of which is Upstate Regional Properties.
We're in the final stretch here, gang. We'll let you out here shortly. And these actually are gonna be, I guess, proposed terms. We haven't gone to the tenants yet, but we know the leases are gonna be up before our next meeting, so, Upstate Management, Alex is looking at, they've been utilizing the conference room in the one section of the first floor office space here almost exclusively, and while some of our other leases for that section of offices down there do say they can have access to the conference room, I don't think in number 2 or 3 years anyone's ever used it. So we'll go back to those tenants, make sure they're okay with it, let them know they can use this conference room. But Alex would like to just rent that as part of his space now. So we would offer that, in addition to the space he's currently in, he would end up with 570 total square feet, I think that's right. And we're looking at $900 a month, which includes obviously the use of the furniture within that conference room, and we're for 6 months anyways.
Okay.
He only wants it for 6 months?
He's trying to,
He has a building he's trying to get renovated
okay.
and move out.
he's hoping to have his own spot because he's got equipment and all that stuff, so.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, can we have a motion to approve the proposed lease terms?
Motion to approve.
Seconded, Kim.
And a second, Kim, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And I'll abstain from that.
Mr. Abstention.
Yeah.
We'll stick onto that theme for the next one too. So, well, the last item here at bullet point 8 is the proposed lease terms for Jackie Ledgerwood's law office.
Yep, we had a tenant that has a lease that goes through the end of March, right? Who has told us his lease is up and he's not gonna be utilizing the space anymore. Jackie would like to take over that space, so our proposal is to offer it to her at the same price we were getting from the previous tenant, so it's 161 square feet at $250 a month, which includes utilities and internet. And that is also for, there's 6, how long is she with us for? I didn't write down the term.
Well, I think her lease renews in April, so we would just do it for a whole year. Do all of it do a
So
new lease
she's
for the
in
whole year.
April, okay.
I believe so. So, wow.
So we're thinking about having this be the approval for the renewal for her current
Yeah.
space and adding on this space for up to a year?
I don't have her current lease terms though.
I don't have it on me.
Would you be proposing an increase to the current?
No.
How is it that you determine how much rent you're gonna charge?
So, the part of it's market, the other part is like, there's other aspects of it. Do they have a window?
Okay.
So that is the first floor, so there's elements that add to the price. Is it more short-term versus longer-term use? How many people are gonna be in it, that sort of thing.
Okay. There's criteria you look at
Yep.
and, okay.
Gosh, I don't know what to do with this now.
I would hold
See
off
if
on
it's
hers
in,
till next month.
Yeah, why don't we,
If you're proposing it at the same rate, if people would be comfortable with it, I don't know if you need to have it stated.
yeah, I'm not, that section is the highest rent payers in the complex, so I don't propose to increase them by any means, so.
Well, we're providing internet,
Yeah.
utilities, and
Yeah.
it's prominent there on the first floor, and they have windows.
So I guess we could do it for a year, plus add this to her current lease. Extend it for a year for all of the,
Space 500 right now for the space that I was size of.
Yeah, it'd be $750.
alright, so $750 a month for this space plus her existing spaces for a year.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we have a motion to approve those proposed lease terms then?
Motion to approve.
All right, Marianne, a second? Second. Tim, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Actually, I'm gonna abstain from that one too. I just said aye, but I'll go down as an abstention.
Okay.
But any opposed? Hearing none, all right, that's carried. So that concludes our action items today. Thanks everyone for sticking with us for the meeting. It's a little longer with the other audit presentations. Our next scheduled meeting is March 6th. That's the
No, it's
day.
wrong.
So
April.
it'll be the third Wednesday in April. And entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
All right, thanks,
April
Serene.
20th.
Second.
So we'll watch for emails from
Thanks,
Joshua
Kim.
Electric.
All in favor?
Take care, everybody.
It is in my
Aye.
trash.
Thank you,
can,
Russ.
So I will go
We're
back to
adjourned.
my office and immediately send it out to everybody,
I'll
so.
look for it in the
Bye, guys.
county.
Thank you.
Bye.
I just don't wanna miss it.